Although I'm a licensed professional counselor in the state of Texas, this podcast is not therapy and should not be used as therapeutic intervention. Many of the products and practices mentioned are for educational and informational purposes only. Should you need support, please seek appropriate, qualified, and licensed professionals. Hey y'all, welcome to Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist, the podcast where we navigate the murky waters between what society expects and what it means to truly live, embrace the messiness, the beautiful chaos of life, and celebrating the rebellion in the process. Whether you're a recent graduate, a seasoned therapist, or someone just curious, there's something here for everyone. But before we dive in, make sure you join the Hot Mess Rebellion community where you can connect to other like-minded souls. I'm your host, Shauna Lovin, a seasoned therapist and wellness educator with a very rebellious spirit. So grab your favorite beverage, get comfortable, and let's dive into today's rebellion. Welcome back to another episode of Between a Hot Mess and a Therapist. So do you remember a while back, I put up this post about therapists being alchemists? So it said something like, we're not just therapists, we're alchemists transforming pain into growth, not just for ourselves, but for others. And there's like this whole long caption that I kind of added with that. You should go back and look at it. But that got me thinking about just the work that we do. And if you saw my workshop on trauma, you will understand that trauma is not just what is happening with, just like the person, but it's also about how you take care of yourself. And so that's kind of like where this topic comes from today. And so today I want to talk about this concept called emotional alchemy. Basically, it is the art of transforming our deepest emotions, our emotional struggles into like powerful sources of strength and wisdom. And I'll get into more details about what that actually looks like. But emotional alchemy is just this thing where we are doing this transformational process. Think about like what alchemy is. Like if you were to define like the process of alchemy, it's like you take some kind of metal and it turns into something more precious. Emotional alchemy is similar in the fact that we are taking our base emotions and turning it into something more valuable. And so when we are in like these high stress professions, when we're dealing with other people's emotions, sometimes we have to think about like, what is the alchemy that we are working with and how does that like impact us as therapists? The other thing that we have to keep in mind is that our world encourages us to hide from our pain, to not let it shine, to not bring like the positive things from it, even though it could be the worst dark moments in our life. But how does all this relate to, say, burnout? Because you guys know this is what I talk a lot about. Well, we know burnout is a chronic state of physical and emotional exhaustion. And it's like, it looks very different for some people. But it's just this place where, we don't want to do nothing. It could be physical. It could be emotional. We're detached. We're irritable. Like, all the things. Like, it's our probably worst attitude when we're all grumpy when you think about it. But emotional alchemy relates to burnout because burnout provides the raw material for emotional alchemy. It's the starting point of our transformation. So basically, when you become burnout, you understand like, how am I really feeling? What's really going on? And then you start from that place and transform that into something great. So that's the whole point behind emotional alchemy. So let's talk about like when, like, you feel like life is life shattering, you had a very significant loss. We know that grief is somewhat attached to that, but not necessarily. And then, but each day that we feel that we're walking through like this foggy place, we don't know where we're going, we can't see. That is what is helping us transform, is because we keep moving, we keep growing, we keep like moving forward. That is what helps us change. So when we're talking about working through our pain into power, emotional alchemy has 3 key steps or processes, or however you want to look at it. The first one is acknowledgement of your emotions. So one, you got to know what the heck you're feeling in order to freaking change it or to use it for something good. The second one is that you have to understand the root cause. So we may not totally understand why things happen, but if you have a general idea of where the emotions are coming from, likely your core beliefs before the age of 12, just saying, that those root causes, if you understand that, that can help with the process as well. Number 3 is once you're transforming them into positive energy. So we're taking the negative, changing it into more positive energy. So let's think of it this way. First, you acknowledge the way you're feeling, your emotions, right? Without any judgment. Then you allow yourself to feel it, sit with it, roll in it, bathe in it, sleep with it, and then you express them. Next, when you look at the root cause, what are the underlying fears? What are the past experiences that have continued to reinforce it? What's fueling these emotions? Kind of looking at that. Finally, we find ways to take these emotions that we're having and turn it into something more positive. This might involve saying being more creative in your expression. Maybe it's helping others, or it's just finding a new perspective. But these are all things that help the process of just alchemy itself. So something that you can do to kind of understand what are the pains or what are you trying to change? Maybe journal is a good way. You can write down and identify any patterns or triggers that you may have. You may be able to channel a little bit. We always know that meditation helps. We know that just kind of being one with yourself or being silent with yourself, our body speaks to us. And then we understand kind of what's going on. What does emotional alchemy look like in everyday life? So these are the small daily practices that we engage in. So it's incorporating, again, mindfulness into your routine, taking a few minutes each day and checking in with yourself, checking in with your emotions. It's practicing sitting in silence sometimes and just observing your thoughts and feelings. This is just what it looks like every day. I would encourage everybody to take a minute and check in. These are the spaces where this is a form of self-care. These are the things that are going to help with burnout. What does long-term transformation kind of could look like? In the emotional alchemy process, it's continuing to just commit to your emotional well-being and your growth. That's all it is. You've made a decision on how you've transformed or what has transformed, and then it's you making the decision to keep that up. Keep engaging in your reflection. Keep engaging in going to therapy. Keep engaging in whatever you're doing. Just keep doing it. The other flip side to that is building a level of resilience. So by regularly participating in emotional alchemy, you build some level of emotional resilience. You enable yourself to face future challenges, and you give yourself greater strength and wisdom in the process. And so, not saying that just because you are a resilient person, you are not going to feel pain. What happens is it makes it easier for you to navigate it. it makes it easier for you to find meaning in it. So it's kind of like understanding what is the silver lining in all situations that we're in. You know, we may experience the worst thing ever in our life, but that doesn't mean that one is going to result in a trauma, like PTSD. Let me rephrase that. And then two, it doesn't mean that it's going to keep you in this place where you're always going to be struggling. It's about how can you make the connection of what has happened or what you experienced and turning that into something that can fuel you and make things better. And so it's more about what are the stories that we're telling ourselves? Like, are we in a community where, or are we being reinforced that, oh, that's a horrible thing that happened to you? Or are you in a space where you're giving yourself a different story, a different narrative of what actually happened? Not saying that we're ignoring the bad parts or the uncomfortable parts, but it's just the fact that when we keep telling ourselves the same negative story, then nothing ever changes. So if you walk away with nothing else, I want you just to know that emotional alchemy is just about transforming our deepest emotional struggles into something more powerful. It's a source of a lot of our strength and wisdom in the future. Your pain does not define who you are. It can be a source of growth and resilience, but you're going to have to step into that. I hope you found this helpful today. Until next time. Thanks for joining today's rebellion with me. Remember, it's okay to be a hot mess sometimes. It's all part of the journey. Until next time, stay rebellious, stay authentic, and keep embracing the beautiful messiness of life. Don't forget to join the Hot Mess Rebellion community where you can connect with other like-minded souls. And anything mentioned in today's episode will be linked in the show notes. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you subscribe, you share with a friend, you leave a review, and you keep coming back for more. This podcast was brought to you by Healing Roots Wellness and Botanicals. For more information, please visit healingrootswab.com.